Hello everyone and welcome to the Mindset Model Podcast, the house of good vibes and unicorn energy. I am your number one hype girl cheering you through the game of life. On this podcast, I am here to help you unleash your best self, to bring your dreams to life using the art of mindset and manifestation. Let's create magic. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Mindset Model Podcast. I hope you are having a fabulous week so far. Now, welcome to this episode. Now, I probably say this about every single episode, but this one is an actual game changer. And, everything I share on my podcast is tried and tested by me. And I have seen magic appear before my eyes. So in this episode, it's all about the ego and the higher self. So you may have heard about these concepts before, or this might be completely brand new to you. Either way, you're gonna love it. So, understanding what the ego is and what the higher self is a must-have when creating your dream life. So, I will define the ego and the higher self and how they actually show up in our lives as well. So, when we're making decisions, you may notice that there are two sort of dialogues that appear in our heads, two voices as such. You've got the encouraging voice, which is like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then you've got the other voice, which is like, no bloody way. Have you heard the expression before? You've got a devil on your shoulder and an angel on the other shoulder. It's a very sort of similar concept, when you've got these two voices. So first of all, let's dive into the ego. Now, most humans actually operate from their ego. And I certainly did most of my life. I like to describe the ego as one of the archetypes, which is an intimidated and scared child that needs healing and is literally scared of everything. Now, the ego's job is survival. It's very primitive, but it's here to keep us safe and alive. That's its job. Which is fantastic because we love to be alive and safe, but also because it is so primitive, it's not really evolved for the modern day world, and it actually prevents us from living our best life. It is the source of fear. The ego sees life through a very limited lens, and it's got, very tunnel vision. It loves to keep us in our comfort zone because the comfort zone is safe. It is literally there waving that comfort zone flag. Hey, everybody, let's sit on the sofa. It's all nice and safe. Let's eat potatoes. Anything unfamiliar is a threat to the ego. It deems it unsafe. So, when you get that resistance feeling, that actually comes from the ego. It loves to tell us to just stay where we are, stay in your lane, stay comfortable. An example would be, say, for example, in business, if you are going to post on social media about your new business for the first time, or you start your podcast, or you go on stage, or you're going to do your first ever live or webinar or whatever, your ego will try its hardest to talk you out of it. It will negotiate with you. It's a fantastic negotiator. It will tell you that it's scary. You don't need it. Someone might say something mean about you. No one actually likes you. The ego is the master of keeping you where you are. Have a think back to a time when you had a download or an idea that made you feel really excited, but then that inner dialogue comes in and it really talks you out of this idea. Have you ever had this before? It communicates with us in quite a frantic and anxious energy. But, the ego does actually serve a purpose. So we're not going to demonize this part of us because it works in collaboration with the higher self. It is here to keep us safe, but we need to recognize it and we need to tame it as well. So it's all about, nurturing your ego, treating it a little bit like a child. It just wants to be heard and understood. And, it's just about reminding the ego that we're safe, everything's fantastic, and everything is going to work out. Now, your higher self, I like to see this as an archetype, as the, we'll say Gandalf the Grey. He is a wizard, just in case you didn't know. So a very, very wise adult is what the higher self is. So the higher self has a bird's eye view of your life. It sees your life through an expansive lens. It's here to assist us with spiritual expansion. It reminds us of the bigger picture, why we are here and who we truly are. It encourages us to smash through that comfort zone, take accountability for ourselves, and it communicates with us through intuition. And it actually has a direct link to source, spirit, God, whatever your beliefs are. And the way that it comes up, it's a very calm, grounded and neutral energy, and the higher self is your absolute manifesting partner, and it does give us very consistent messages as well. Sometimes when you get messages that just pop up and it's just like, yeah, you should do that. Yes, you should still do that. Yeah, that's still a great idea. It's just very calm. And then you've got the ego, which is like, oh my God, quick, you've got to do it immediately. Really listen into those energies. So how does the ego actually show up in our day-to-day lives? And, how do we see it showing up with other people? So it's a very, very reactive energy and a very triggered energy. It comes up as fear, envy, jealousy. Everything is just about the self. It loves to feel safe in the body. It loves to tell stories and convince you. It will convince you to not live your dream life because that is unknown. It's unsafe. Unknown is unsafe. It can show up in our lives as, really caring what other people think, and that actually prevents us from doing things. It shows up as lack and scarcity. It actually makes you feel like you are in competition with other people, but in a bad way. It shows up as blaming others for your issues. Victimhood is a massive one. I know so many people across my life who, are living in their ego, and it's all about them being the victim. Also attacking other people for being different. The ego finds different people really threatening because, again, they are unknown, and the unknown is dangerous. And it's very, very afraid of letting go, and it fears loss. The ego will actually hold on to things that are so bad for you just because it doesn't like losing them. And the ego persuades you to live a life lower than your potential due to fear. And it can show up so randomly when activated. It's very dramatic. It rushes you into making decisions. And as I mentioned, the ego has a very limited lens on life. It thinks there is only one opportunity to do things. Once that opportunity is gone, it's gone forever. And this can show up, with people that stay in their jobs forever and ever and ever, even though they don't actually like them, because the ego has tricked them into thinking that's the only job that they'll ever be able to do. But that is not true. And it keeps you distracted from making changes. And finally, it uses your imagination to visualize the worst outcome ever. That is when you know that you are operating from your ego. Now let's have a look at the higher self. Now the higher self is all about being in the present moment. It lives in the now. The higher self communicates with love, passion, empathy, compassion, connectedness, kindness, peace, and content. That is when you know you are operating from your higher self. that feeling. The higher self is actually anchored into the physical realm. It knows that there is actually no death or loss because there is a limitless life out there. Obviously, whatever your beliefs are, the higher self actually lives in the heart. So when people say follow your heart, you are indeed following your higher self. It brings inner peace and a feeling of certainty of who you are. When you're operating from the higher self, you love to see other people win, you wish others well, and you are personally living your dream life. It's all about feeling abundant. Your higher self is your inner cheerleader, your inner coach. When you get an idea or choose to do something, there's actually no sort of emotional charge behind the message. It's very neutral. When you get an idea, it's just like, yeah, brilliant, you should do that. And the higher self knows that you are worthy and you are enough. It keeps you focused on what it knows is important for you to achieve your dream life and for you to evolve. It respects and welcomes change, and it uses the imagination to see the best case scenario. That is why visualization is so important, especially when you are visualizing things that you really want. That is how you can really help to activate your higher self and your intuition. Now, when I first learned about the ego and the higher self, I was like, what the actual fuck? Holy fucking shit. I have been living my life in my ego for so long, but that's okay. First step is awareness and thinking about times where you have actually acted from your ego and when you've actually acted from your higher self. What is the difference in feeling? And have you seen other people in your life doing the same? Now, a great question to ask yourself when you're making decisions is saying to yourself, am I making this decision from the energy of fear or the energy of love? So, am I going on this date with a person because I'm fearful of going to my friend's wedding all alone? Or because I genuinely like the sound of this person and I'm really curious and excited to find out more? Am I looking to move house because I'm worried I'll lose my job and I need to downsize? Or because I would love a new location that feels expansive and good? Pay attention to the response. Is it cool, calm and collected? That is your higher self. If it's frantic, dramatic and chaotic, random as fuck, that will be your ego. And one affirmation which will help you elevating your life is, I am comfortable being uncomfortable. I am comfortable being uncomfortable. When you learn to embrace uncomfortable feelings, this will really help you to grow, and this will really help you to elevate and discover your true self. Now, remember, we are here to live our absolute best lives. Have an amazing day. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please share it with anyone who you feel needs to listen to this episode, and I shall catch you in my next one. Have a great day.